Hey there. You know that feeling when you're at a party, or maybe just scrolling through your phone, and you see someone who just seems perfect? The charming neighbor, the dedicated professional, the pillar of the community. They have the right smile, the right job, the right house. And you think to yourself, I know exactly who that person is. But what if you didn't? What if everything about them was a beautifully crafted lie, hiding a darkness so cold, so calculated, that it would make your blood run cold? This is a story about one of those people. A man who didn't kill out of passion, or rage, or some twisted desire. He killed for the simplest, most terrifying reason of all. It was just business. Welcome back. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Underworld Kings, The Rise and Fall from Light Not Studios. Today, we're traveling to Victorian England, a world of strict morals, rapid science, and profound inequality. It's here we meet our protagonist, a man named Dr. Thomas Neill Cream. On the surface, he was a success story. Born in Scotland, he'd earned his medical degrees, even studied in London and Canada. He was a doctor, an educated man of science. He had the title, the pedigree. But beneath that respectable veneer, Dr. Cream was a predator. And his weapon of choice wasn't a knife or a gun. It was something far more discreet, something he could carry in his pocket with a gentleman's grace: strychnine. Now, strychnine in the Victorian era was a known quantity. It was a common ingredient in rat poison, readily available from any chemist. And as a doctor, Cream had easy access to it. But his method was particularly sinister. He wouldn't force it on anyone. He'd present it as medicine. He targeted vulnerable women, often prostitutes, who were suffering from various ailments. He'd approach them, offer his professional services, and give them pills or bottles of tonic to cure their ills. They'd take it, trusting the man with the medical degree. And then the agony would begin. Strychnine poisoning is a horrific way to die. It causes violent muscle spasms, arching of the back, and asphyxiation, all while the victim remains fully conscious. Dr. Cream didn't just murder these women. He prescribed them torture. But here's where the story twists from a horrific series of murders into something that truly defines an underworld king. Cream wasn't just a serial killer. He saw murder as a revenue stream. After poisoning several women in London in 1891, he embarked on a breathtakingly brazen campaign of blackmail. He would write letters to people completely unconnected to the crimes: doctors, officials, even the police, accusing them of the murders. His letters were detailed, taunting, and always ended with the same implication: pay me, and I'll make this problem go away. I'll keep your name out of it. He was essentially trying to sell his own silence, to monetize the fear and confusion he himself had created. He wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was orchestrating a chaotic marketplace of suspicion and positioning himself as the only one who could control it, for a price. This is what fascinates me about Cream, as an engineer and someone who thinks about systems. He tried to engineer a criminal enterprise. He had a product, murder. He had a method, poison, which required his specific expertise. And he had a business model, extortion. He attempted to build a feedback loop of terror and profit. But like so many arrogant entrepreneurs, he made a critical error in his design. He overestimated his own cleverness and underestimated the system he was trying to game. His downfall came from a combination of old-fashioned police work and his own monstrous ego. The police, led by a determined detective named Frederick Smith, began to connect the dots between the poisoned women and the strange, accusing letters. They noticed a pattern in the handwriting, a similarity in the poisons used. And Cream, confident in his superiority, couldn't help but insert himself into the investigation. He'd hang around the inquests, ask pointed questions, and offer his medical opinion. He was playing the role of the concerned citizen, but he was really admiring his own handiwork. It's the classic flaw of the narcissist. He needed to see the effect of his actions to be close to the chaos. That proximity was his fatal bug in the code. The trap was set with a simple envelope. The police had identified his handwriting. They tracked him, and when he finally posted another one of his blackmail letters, they were waiting. He was arrested, and the evidence was damning. They found strychnine in his possession, and his rooms were littered with the same distinctive stationery used for the extortion notes. At his trial, the picture of the respectable doctor completely dissolved. The prosecution painted him as a monster of wickedness. He was convicted and sentenced to hang. And even at the gallows in 1892, legend has it his last words were a final, twisted joke, as he supposedly said, "I am Jack," hinting that he was Jack the Ripper, a claim that was almost certainly false, but a perfect, petty final act of sowing chaos and attaching his name to an even greater infamy. Thinking about Cream from my perspective, here in New York, in a world built on innovation and hustle, I'm struck by the dark mirror he holds up. He was, in the most sinister way possible, a disruptor. He looked at the vulnerabilities of his society, the lack of regulation on poisons, the marginalized status of his victims, the slow pace of forensic science, and he saw an opportunity. He applied his specialized knowledge not to heal, but to exploit. He built a terrible, small business on human suffering. And that, to me, is the core of his story. It's not just the murders, it's the cold, entrepreneurial calculus behind them. He represents the ultimate corruption of skill and intellect, where a man uses every advantage he has, not to build, but to destroy for profit. So what's the takeaway from the tale of Dr. Thomas Neill Cream, the poisoning doctor? It's a reminder that evil doesn't always look wild and unhinged. Sometimes, it wears a well-tailored coat and carries a medical bag. It speaks with authority and operates with chilling logic. It reminds us that the most dangerous predators are often the ones we've been conditioned to trust without question. They hide not in dark alleys, but in plain sight, leveraging our respect for their title, their education, their position. Cream's story is a Victorian nightmare, but its lesson is timeless. Be wary of anyone who claims to have a simple cure, especially when that cure comes with a hidden price. And the only business they're really in is the business of death. Thank you for listening to this episode of Underworld Kings, The Rise and Fall. If this story sent a chill down your spine, please share it with someone. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. This is Ibnul J. Farabi for Light Not Studios. Stay curious, but stay safe. I'll see you next time.